Everything you've been told about the robot race is wrong. Silicon Valley has spent 2 years convincing you that Tesla's Optimus and Figure AI are leading the humanoid revolution. They're not. They're not even close. While American CEOs were posting flashy demo videos on X, China quietly did something nobody thought was possible. In 2025, 87% of every humanoid robot delivered to a paying customer on this planet came from a Chinese company. Tesla and Figure combined, around 150 units. China, tens of thousands, with a national target of 100,000 deployments by 2026. These robots aren't prototypes. They're already on assembly lines at BYD, Foxconn, and Geely, working night shifts that no human would take. America is winning the keynote speeches. China is winning the factory floor. Stick around because what's happening in Shenzhen right now is the biggest industrial shift of our lifetime, and almost nobody is talking about it. Let's start with the number that broke the internet. According to industry tracking from Morgan Stanley and SemiAnalysis, Chinese firms shipped the overwhelming majority of all humanoid robots delivered worldwide in 2025. UB Tech, Unitree, Agibot, and Xpeng alone moved thousands of units into commercial deployment. Tesla's Optimus program, despite all the keynote hype, delivered an estimated few hundred units, most of them internal to Tesla's own factories in Fremont and Austin. Figure AI, the Jeff Bezos and Microsoft-backed darling of Silicon Valley, delivered a small pilot fleet to BMW. Add them all up, and the entire American humanoid output for 2025 lands at roughly 150 units reaching real customers. Let that sink in for a second. For every one humanoid robot America put into the world, China put more than 50. And here's the uncomfortable part. Most Americans don't even know this is happening. The story isn't being told on cable news, it isn't trending on X, and it isn't being debated in Congress the way it should be. Now let me show you exactly where these Chinese robots are working, because this is where it stops being theoretical and starts being terrifying. Walk into a BYD electric vehicle plant in Shenzhen today, and you won't just see human workers. You'll see UB Tech Walker S, 2 humanoids standing at quality inspection stations, lifting battery components, sorting parts, and moving across the floor like they belong there. Because they do. The Walker S2 has a feature that should genuinely worry every factory worker on Earth. Every 90 minutes, it walks to a station, pulls out its dead battery, plugs in a fresh one, and goes right back to work. No human required, no downtime, no lunch break, no weekend, no sick days, no union meetings. Foxconn, the company that builds the iPhone you're probably watching this video on, is running humanoid pilots inside its Zhengzhou and Shenzhen facilities for assembly testing and logistics handling. Geely Auto, the Chinese giant that owns Volvo, has humanoids working alongside humans on its EV production lines in Hangzhou. Dongfeng Motor, FAW Volkswagen, Audi China, NIO, and SF Express, the largest courier company in China, are all running active deployments right now. This isn't a tech demo, this is a night shift. While Silicon Valley posts highlight reels on X, Shenzhen is shipping the future in actual shipping containers, and most of those containers are headed for ports you've never heard of. Now, let's talk about the 100,000 number, because the scale is what makes this story so insane. China's central government has openly declared humanoid robotics a Tier 1 strategic industry under its Made in China 2025 framework, with state-backed funding estimated at over $140 billion across AI and robotics. The national target is crystal clear: 100,000 humanoid robot deployments by the end of 2026. UB Tech alone is targeting 5,000 units shipped in 2026 and 10,000 by 2027. Unitree, based in Hangzhou, is selling its G1 humanoid for around $16,000. That is cheaper than a used Toyota Camry. Think about that. The price of a single human worker's annual salary in California can buy a robot that works forever. Agibot, founded by former Huawei genius engineer Peng Jihui, is literally building a factory whose only job is to build more humanoid robots. Mass production lines are already operational in Shenzhen, Hangzhou, and Shanghai, and new facilities are being approved in Suzhou and Chongqing. So ask yourself this: what happens to the global economy when one country has 100,000 tireless mechanical workers and everyone else has 150? Drop your honest answer in the comments below. Because economists at Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and the IMF are still trying to figure it out. And they don't have a good answer either. But here's where it gets really uncomfortable. And this is the part the US tech industry does not want you to think about. Meanwhile, in America, Tesla's Optimus program promised 5,000 units in 2025. Reality? Production targets have been quietly missed quarter after quarter, with most units staying inside Tesla's Fremont and Austin facilities for internal testing, rather than reaching outside customers. Figure AI's Figure 02 robot is genuinely impressive, doing real 10-hour shifts at the BMW Spartanburg plant in South Carolina, but it's still a pilot program, not mass deployment. Boston Dynamics, owned by Hyundai, unveiled the all-electric Atlas, with movements that exceed human flexibility, but it's only being tested inside Hyundai factories in Olson and Georgia. Apptronic in Austin, 1X Technologies in San Francisco, and Agility Robotics in Oregon are all running small pilots, mostly with logistics customers like Amazon and GXO. Add up every American humanoid actually delivered to a paying customer in 2025, and you land back at that brutal number, around 150 units. America is winning the demo videos, China is winning the factory floors, and those are two very, very different races, with two very different prizes at the finish line. Now, to be fair, the per-unit story is more nuanced than a single statistic. American robots like Atlas and Figure 02 are arguably more advanced in raw capability and AI sophistication. The Boston Dynamics Atlas can move in ways no Chinese humanoid can match yet. Figure 2's hand dexterity is class-leading, but raw capability doesn't matter if you can't ship at volume. China is winning on the three things that actually decide industrial revolutions: volume, cost, and deployment speed. And here's the kicker that nobody on cable news talks about. Most of the components inside Tesla's Optimus, Figure 02, and Boston Dynamics Atlas, the precision motors, the force sensors, the rare earth magnets, the lithium batteries, are made in China anyway. So America is literally buying parts from the same country that is now beating it at assembling those parts into finished robots. It's like buying ingredients from your competitor and watching them open the better restaurant across the street. Let me show you exactly why China is pulling ahead so fast. Because once you understand the playbook, you'll see this race was never going to be close. There are 5 reasons China is winning, and you need to hear all of them. First, vertical supply chain. China produces over 70% of the world's electric motors, more than 75% of lithium-ion batteries, and dominates the global rare earth processing market with over 85% market share. A humanoid robot is essentially a Chinese-sourced product no matter who stamps their logo on it. Second, cost. Unitree's G1 ships for $16,000 today. Tesla's Optimus target is $20,000 to $30,000, and it isn't shipping at scale yet. By the time it does, China will have flooded the market. Third, government coordination. Chinese provinces actively compete to offer factory space, tax breaks, subsidies, and fast permits to robotics firms. There is no equivalent in the United States, where a new factory can take 5 years just to get approved. Fourth, the data flywheel. More robots deployed in the real world means more training data, which means faster AI improvement, which means better robots, which means more deployments. China is already 2 laps into this loop while America is still tying its shoes. Fifth, regulatory speed. Chinese labor laws and workplace safety rules move at the pace of a government directive. American and European regulations move at the pace of a committee meeting that gets postponed 3 times. It's the iPhone versus Shenzhen knockoff story all over again. Except this time, the knockoffs are winning, and the knockoffs are the ones with the cutting-edge AI brains. So what does any of this actually mean for you, the person watching this video? More than you might think. If China hits its 100,000 robot target, the cost of manufacturing collapses inside its borders. Chinese factories will undercut every competitor on Earth, from Vietnam to Mexico to Ohio to Poland. The entire Western strategy of reshoring, bringing factories back home from Asia, depends on one critical assumption. That automation will level the playing field between expensive American workers and cheaper Asian ones. But if China automates first, faster, and cheaper, reshoring fails before it even begins. Manufacturing jobs that politicians have promised to bring back to Detroit, Birmingham, Pittsburgh, and the entire Rust Belt may simply never return. Because by the time those factories are built, robots will already be cheaper in Shenzhen than humans are in Indiana. The geopolitical stakes are even bigger. Whoever controls humanoid robots controls the next industrial revolution, the same way oil defined the 20th century and semiconductors defined the early 21st. Should the United States restrict imports of Chinese humanoid robots the way it restricted Huawei networking equipment? Drop your honest take in the comments below, because Washington is genuinely debating it right now in closed-door briefings, and the decision could reshape the global economy. Here's the bottom line, and this is the part you need to remember. Tesla promised 5,000 humanoid robots in 2025. It delivered around 150 units alongside Figure AI. China promised 100,000 by 2026, and based on current factory deployments at BYD in Shenzhen, Foxconn in Zhengzhou, and Geely in Hangzhou, they are absolutely on track to hit that target. The West is still in the lab. China is already on the factory floor. The race isn't even close, and the gap is widening every single quarter. But there is one thing happening inside American research labs in 2026 that could flip this entire race overnight. A single breakthrough that even Beijing is reportedly worried about. Watch this video next, because what America is quietly building might be the biggest twist of the decade.